Hey guys, Youth Fields. Today we're going to be going over the portfolio for the week. So to start off, the weekly performance for the SPY, you can see here that the SPY did actually do a little bit up. There's a lot of regrowth for the stocks that had fallen last week. So mainly speaking about the tech and stocks there. There's some other sectors that are not doing too well, such as REIT specialty, some consumer staple stuff, as well as some drug manufacturer stuff as well. So, but moving into the actual performance, we can see here that the our portfolio was up about 147 compared to 0.46, with our Composer portfolio doing 3.26, and with Finance doing 0.7, and Legal doing 4%. So not too bad. So going into each of those, we're still in the Holy Grail. This is kind of like the main go-to strategy here on out. This one is basically just holding TQQ at the moment. It got really close to actually hitting another another condition, basically. I'll show you that here. So if I come over here and go to here, let's do current status. You can see the 200-day moving average is getting pretty close to the current price. On Friday, we did have quite a big jump though, so there's that. But it is getting close. And then you can see how the other signals are. The main one is that 200-day moving average, as well as like the 20-day, for example. So, for example, if we are to, let's say tomorrow, for whatever reason, we lose, 5%, we will go into the bear market condition, for example. If we lose only 3%, we'll still be in TQQQ. That's kind of how the strategy works, though, is you're in TQQQ for most of the time. That's actually why it hasn't done very hot in the last, 3 months. So if I come over here and go 3 months, you can see it's actually only up 5.6%, which is being SPY. But the problem is it's so choppy, right? You can see we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, right? So it's just really choppy, really sideways roller coastery. Now, if you take a look at the last year, for example, it really thrives on these kind of dips here, as well as obviously some sort of bull growth in general, because it's holding TQQQ for such a long period of time that those bull runs really perform well. So when we're in kind of a choppy market, it doesn't do a lot. In fact, it can typically outperform because the decay, right? Volatility decay. Moving on. Well, actually, I'll give you one more look here. You can see here we are actually, the top one is the 20-day moving average, while this bottom one is the 200-day moving average. You can see, I want to say the last time I made my video would have been the 15th. So the 15th would have been right. Well, when was that? It would have been the 13th. Would have been Friday. You can see this is where we closed on Friday and how it's actually progressed. The 20-day moving average seems to be heading downward still. The 200-day moving average maybe seems to be slowing down a little bit, but that's just as of recent, so we really don't know. But one thing is true, they do seem to be converging closer than last week, for example. So, and like I said, if we have a movement in that, not just tomorrow of negative 5%, but let's say the entire week, let's say it goes down 5% for the week, then we will surely hit that bear market condition. So we will see how that pans out. I'm not sure if it's going to pan out or not, but we'll just have to see. Moving on to the M1 Finance portfolio for last week, you can see each of the different sectors that we're in. So the top one we have industrials. The main driver there was from John Deere, almost up 10%, which is crazy. Then we have technology, and biggest gainer there was Google. Google had kind of a tough time last week, so that kind of makes up for that. That's nice. And then we have financials. The biggest one there was from Morgan Stanley. Also had a tough couple of weeks. I'll go into that in a second. Loser sectors. The biggest drop here was from Vertex. I kind of went over that at the beginning. There's some drug manufacturer stuff that wasn't doing too hot. Biggest loser here in utilities is NextEra. And last but not least, consumer discretionary. Biggest loser there is from Costco. There's some stuff also that I should mention before I forget with tariffs on Friday. And Trump's plan to basically, I'm not going to go into it, but there was some news there, and some of the companies that were involved in some sort of like a hedge against the tariffs previously, like Costco is one of them, for example. So we'll see how that pans out for them, because basically they made a deal. I forgot the company they did the deal with, but anyhow, basically they gave them a loan, essentially. This is from what I understand. It could be completely wrong, but I believe they gave them a loan for a certain amount that they would be losing, and if the tariffs didn't come back, then they would have to pay the company back. So something like that. And it turns out, because of that, now the company's getting like $10 million or something like that, or $10 billion or something. So a lot of money. They did a nice bet on their side, but a lot of these consumer companies didn't get very good part of the deal, because obviously that's their whole business drive is the tariffs, and that hit them quite a bit. But anyhow, looking at the holdings, you can see Google, AMD, RTX still the top three. John Deere, though, you can see that went up quite a bit. And then if we take a look on the losers, we have 5 there. Microsoft is our biggest one. Visa, AMT, and then MasterCard as well. So Visa and MasterCard still doing not too hot. Amazon almost out of the red. So that's good to see. And we'll actually see how that affects them as well. I'm not sure if that the tariff stuff affected them that much. I'd assume so, because they have to do a lot of. I mean, it's weird because it's a marketplace, less so with Costco, because they have a lot of their own products and stuff. I'm not sure. I'm not an economist, so last but not least, Webull. We can see here there was the holiday. Now we have 7%, 5%, 6%, 2% down. So there you go. Nothing to really report on there. Kind of didn't really do a whole lot. Gained a lot at the beginning and lost a lot at the end. So we will see how that performs. But yeah, that is kind of it, I think. I think overall for the week, part of me is hoping that, it's kind of funny. My M1 Finance portfolio is hoping that we continue to do a full run. My Composer portfolio is actually kind of hoping that we maybe take a little bit of a hit, because typically that's followed by quite a bit of movement. And so we'll see which one actually pans out and how well it actually balances out. But it's kind of like a mini hedge in a way. So anyhow, that is it for me, guys. And as always, I wish you guys a wealthy future.